Okay, I think we can go straight to the next session, to the discussion we have. We listened to an excellent discussion around the future of gas and the energy transition, including natural gas in the system, in the contrary of other things that we have been listening over the past 2 days. And now we will be moving to a very interesting discussion, having the honor to have with us the alternate Minister of Finance, Mr. Nikos Papathanasis, and the Chairman and CEO of the GRID TSO, the Transmission System Operator here in Greece, Mr. Manos Manousakis, around investments and the green energy transition and how can this be achieved in the midst of all the issues that we have effectively heard and started discussing over the past 2 days. Just before the session, we also had the award ceremony to Mr. Gramelis, and I'm saying that because we did discuss about the delignitization of certain areas like in Kozani, in Western Macedonia area and in Megalopolis area, and the work that Mr. Gramelis has done on coal. And now he has also switched his interest to hydrogen and alternative sources of fuel, which is exactly what the energy transition is about. And we're being in the 8th conference in a year, 8 years later, it signals the fact that the energy transition takes time and it's not something that can happen very fast. So with this, I will start the conversation with the Minister. Let me sit next to you. So, Minister, recently Greece has submitted a request to the Commission to modify the famous Recovery and Resilience Fund, because the plan that we have as a country to help us get out of the COVID crisis that then has led to, not because of that, but because of the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, to an energy crisis. And now we are at a pivotal point where we are trying to modify the plan and try to focus on certain areas that could also help us address this climate crisis that we are also living through and experiencing today. So what is the Ministry doing about that, and what are the future plans?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be here with an exceptional panelist, Mr. Manousakis, and Moderator. Thank you very much, Mr. Andriosopoulos. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to start with an initial statement, because we are speaking about energy. And of course, energy has to do with the climate crisis. The Just Transition Project is about that. But what we are experiencing, even though we are planning, scheduling what we are going to do in the next 5, 10, 15 years, we are experiencing practically the effects of the climate crisis now, today. So we have Europe, European Union, that does have programs for the after lignite area, but still we are experiencing the consequences of the crisis. So we have to think about what are we doing now and what is the Solidarity Fund doing for the countries that are experiencing the effects of the climate crisis. And I'm starting with this statement because there's going to be a discussion on that. It affects all the energy project, and of course, it affects the lives of every citizen in Europe, especially the countries that are mostly affected by events like the ones we experienced with Daniel or Elias today, or the wildfires. So we have to rethink about what solidarity has to be and how strong the fund has to be in order to support the countries that undergo such an event. So the European funds that I am responsible account approximately for 80 billion euros for the next 7 years. So we are talking about a significant amount. If one considers that our GDP is at the moment at 210 billion euros, one could realize the effect that such funds could do in the growth of the country and, of course, in the creation of jobs. So it is very important to see how we utilize, how we use these funds in order to be more productive. So what we have done just at the end of August, as we were obliged to do, was to see what changes we had to do in the Recovery and Resilience Fund, the modifications. But before actually we completed, or right after we completed the submission of the modification, we have Daniel. And we had to go back and ask for the flexibility to revise our plan. And we got this flexibility because even though European Union is a huge ship, it turns slowly, but at the end it turns and it shows its solidarity immediately after following a letter and a visit by the Prime Minister with the President von der Leyen. We succeeded in getting the flexibility, so we are going to redirect approximately 680 million euros to Thessaly in order to do all the infrastructure work that has been damaged during Daniel. At the same time, we have we account also some work to be done in Dadia, Evros. So it is very important to realize that the European funds, along with the partnership agreement, will account approximately with the Solidarity Fund on top of that, approximately at 2.4 billion euros. And this will be assisted, of course, with national funds. So it's very important to realize that we do have the capacity. We do have the capacity of the European funds. Otherwise, countries like Greece, if they didn't have the European funds, especially cases when events like that would come around, it would be a difficult situation with the fiscal results that we have to present, and we have to be steady with our stability program that we have provided. And this stability program has projected a primary surplus of 0.7% this year. We will abide with all the rules, and we will succeed to get all the benefits of following a very strict fiscal policy.
Thank you, Minister. Now we'll turn into the discussion of investments around the energy transition, and the backbone of this, as we all understand, is the infrastructure. The part of based on the previous discussion of the natural gas systems, we have the power systems. We need the power sector to support all the growth of the renewable energy investments, especially that are taking place now. And we see that there are a lot of challenges around that. We discussed this morning about curtailments that may be happening because we see that in some instances demand is not as high as we would expect, and the supply of green energy may be overcoming that. And that creates obviously challenges for the system, technical challenges, but also economical challenges on the other hand to investors. And my main question now to Mr. Manousakis is, what is your plan, the 10-year plan that you see until 2030 around this issue? And whether you foresee any strong investment plan that would support that, fix these problems, challenges, whether the funds are there. I mean, do we have enough capital and sources of funds so that we can actually make it?
First of all, let me also thank you for the invitation. And let me state, of course, that I am honored to be here in the panel with the Minister. And before we go to the real challenges that we are approaching right now, let me also say that we are successful. Why we are successful? Because we are very fast in implementing the green investments in Greece if we are compared with other countries. We started to take off by 2018, 2019, and by now we have electrified already 12 gigawatts. We have granted 15 more gigawatts for new green projects. So if you add it up, it is 27 gigawatts. And the whole demand of Greece, the maximum demand is 10 gigawatts. So if you use the capacity factor of the renewables, you can see that with the connection terms that we have granted, we have enough green investments until 2030. But as you said, there is more need for green investment. The investors want to invest more. The country needs more investment anyway. And we have to find the fixes. What is happening is that the problem has two aspects. The one aspect is the demand. The demand is 10 gigawatts, as we said, and it is not going to be higher according to the projections. And the other aspect is the network. The solution for this problem is storage, as we have said before. And now is the time to move on with more tenders for storage. And when we're saying storage, we mean the both types of storage. The storage in the core of the system that will solve the issue of demand, but also storage behind the meter in every green project that will add more electrical space in the system. And regardless of the technology of the storage, either it is batteries or it is hydro pumps, the solution now for the green transition to go forward is storage. And I know that the Ministry of Energy, the ministry which owns most of our company and supervises our company, now designs the strategy for the near future regarding the storage in order for the green investments to be able to continue smoothly. Regarding the funding that you said, I believe that there is very strong interest from private investors to invest as they have already done in mostly the last years in the photovoltaic, but also before in the wind farms. There is real appetite for more investments in storage. What needs to be done and what is going to be done in the near future is the regulatory and the legal framework to be stabilized in order for the investors to know what is the future. Also, there is a lot of capacity for wind farms in the sea, offshore wind farms, as we call them, because the wind capacity of Greece is the higher in the Mediterranean. So we believe that also we will see investments in this front. If we design properly, I believe that by 2030 we will have achieved the target of having the vast majority of the energy consumed in Greece to be green, to come from green sources.
Thank you. And I'll turn back to the minister because we discussed about the green energy transition. It has a lot of positive aspects, but also some negative aspects. One of these is obviously, as we've seen and discussed before, in certain areas where we had lignite plants, because that was the backbone of the energy production in Greece in the past. Now, today, it's not economically viable, so we have to shut them down. And there is a lot of effort also from the government's point of view and a lot of funds that are directed to the areas that are going to be suffering more from the shutdown of these lignite plants. So what are the immediate plans of the ministry and the funds that you are managing, and how will you be directing them to those areas?
Okay, so I would like to clarify the European funds. We have 36 billion from the RRF, Recovery and Resilience Fund. We have 26 billion from the partnership agreement. That makes 62 billion. And then the rest up until the 80 is the Common Agricultural Fund. So out of that, we have approximately the first program, actually, the first European program. We're the first country in Europe that has been granted a Just Transition program, which is at a level of 1.6 billion euros. And what we are doing, we are going to change the productive model of the places that are being affected by the delignitization. Although we have to stay at the fact that delignitization in Greece has not started now. This is a process that has started approximately around 2010, but no government, previous government, has paid an attention to what was happening. So we reached 2019, Prime Minister recognized that delignitization has affected the lives of the people, and has stated that we are going to proceed with a very strict program, and of course that to be followed with an application to receive this Just Transition program. So it's the first program. The European Commission has been following the progress of the program. What we are doing is we are, first of all, we're working on upskilling the people in the regions. So we're talking about West Macedonia and the region of Western Macedonia, and prefectures of Kozani, Florina, Kastoria, and Grevena, and of course the municipalities in Peloponnese, that is Megalopoli, Tripoli, Ichalia, and Gortynia. Of course, it includes the islands, but with a very smaller program. So what we're doing, upskilling, reskilling, and also giving incentives for companies of added value, that is technological companies and other companies, to get the incentives to go and be established in the region. This is not an easy process. We are very glad that we do have a university at the region. It is very important, and we're lucky at that we have a university. It is very important to find the STEM graduates in order to have the people and the talent, and we do have the talent. That is another issue. We do have a talent in the region. So what we are doing, we have started supporting municipalities. We have started supporting the talent to be upskilled or reskilled. People that have been working at the PPC to find another way and get other special capacity. And at the same time, we are running right now a program for SMEs to give them incentives that can reach up to 70%. That is a small company that is applying for a project of 100,000 will get 70,000 an incentive to be established there. Of course, on orientation that creates jobs. And at the same time, we have another program for small, medium, and large companies that is at the level of 400 million euros to give the same incentives at the time to support the creation of technical jobs and, of course, jobs that are sustainable. So this is, we've already assigned 35% of the program, and it's running very fast. And I think we will not only be the first country to have obtained such a program, but we will be the first country that will show and indicate the benchmarking and present the good practices. Of course, we have the research organizations that are with us, and they have gotten a part of the program as well.
This is very important, as you are saying, because when you do have manufacturing processes or technological companies present, they are looking for workforce, skilled workforce that we will need to, even if we have it in the country, relocate. So the best is also to try to train them and try to look for the right skills in advance. It's extremely important.
And of course, we're talking about well-paid jobs because it is something of high technical skills needed. So university also that cooperates with us could redirect programs in order to support the graduates to have obtained the skills to follow a new job and a new orientation.
And talking about Western Macedonia, at least it's in the northern axis, let's say, of the country, which we have seen being developing as an energy hub. Also, from the point of view of infrastructure, a lot of projects are taking place. And listening to what you said, Mr. Manousakis, before, indeed, we do have storage, which is a solution to the excess production, possibly. And this can be the fast, immediate solution. But looking at the medium to long term, definitely what we need is more investment in the grid, but not necessarily only within Greece, but looking at the interconnections and the various projects that you have been proposing recently. We have the Euro-Asia interconnector, various projects, coming from Egypt. Very recent announcements as well about the collaboration with the respective TSO as of yesterday with Saudi Arabia. And of course, the project that you are proposing with Germany and a lot of other things that are underway. So, what can you tell us about that, about your effectively your business plan and your view on the interconnection capacity of the country in the future?
You're right, Mr. Andriosopoulos, saying that storage can provide the solution up to a point. As we said, the absolute limit is the demand. The production covers the demand. So when we have enough production in our country, green production, which is equal or exceeds the demand, then in order to exploit the capacity we have as a country, our sun and our wind, we need to find the way to export this energy. This has to do with the development of our country in all fronts, in my opinion. So what IPTO is doing is that it's trying to serve and implement the energy strategy of our country, which is to make Greece an exporter of energy from an importer that it was in the past due to the fossil fuels reality. Because Greece now is a country which can produce more energy than it needs to consume. So our priority are the projects which are, we would say, the exporting energy projects, such as the second HVDC interconnection we are designing now together with the TSO of Italy for the second HVDC interconnection between Greece and Italy. Also, as you know, we have just finalized the second interconnection with Bulgaria. We are designing the second interconnection with Albania. And of course, it is very important to design right now, I think we are in the right moment, to design a direct energy corridor, as we call it, between Greece and Central Europe, again of the HVDC technology, because this is the technology that can directly move the energy without losses. From Greece to Central Europe, and the preliminary studies have shown that the best destination is Germany because of the robustness of the electrical system of this country, but also because of the energy needs of this country. So we are going to propose in the next months in the European Commission we're going to make an application in order to find the funds for a project of common interest from Greece to Germany. And right now we are submitting the project to the 10-year network development plan of the union of the TSOs, which is called the NCOE. But of course, IPTO does not only serve the energy strategy of Greece, but it has to serve the energy strategy of the whole Europe. As we know, after the invasion of Russia to Ukraine, there has been a turn in the European energy strategy, and Europe now seeks for alternative sources of energy. And I believe that the projects that we are designing with Egypt, and yesterday we announced the new company we found together with the TSO of Saudi Arabia, what we call the Saudi-Greek interconnection. These two interconnections, in fact, propose an alternative source of green energy for Europe. And if you combine this with the interconnector I mentioned before with Germany, we can see that, for example, in the winter months where the solar capacity of these countries is very important, even compared to Greece, Europe could take energy from these countries, which is going to be cheaper than any kind of fossil fuel energy. And of course, it's going to help our Fit for 55 targets in Europe generally. Also, the Euro-Asia interconnector, I would say that as the market situation with the countries involved is now, it would be again a net exporting project. But for Greece, it's not only that. The geopolitical importance of the project is very high because our fraternal state of Cyprus is the only state of European Union which is still an energy island and has not been interconnected.
Thank you. Minister, I would like to ask you another question related with some recent positive news for the country and the economic environment in the country, which has been the upgrading that we had from the rating agencies to investment grade very soon, and from all the reputable agencies that then will, let's say, kick off, possibly, as we have been listening and reading, a new wave of investments here in Greece from various funds or strategic players. And you have been fortunate enough from your previous position as well to be talking to a lot of investors and a lot of these funds, and obviously from your position today. Have you seen this positive momentum? Have you seen this positive change happening? And what is your expectation for the coming months or years for Greece?
Well, there's a lot of discussion about the investment grade. Investment grade is very important for Greece because we've gone through difficult times. And of course, we are very strict now with our fiscal policy and with our stability program. We've gotten the first investment grade procedure we've gone through, and we succeeded with DBRS. Of course, in October, there is Standard & Poor's, and in November is Fitch. So we still have a way to go. And of course, events like, Daniel, if we did not abide by all the rules, could have destabilized the situation. But it's not the case in Greece. We've shown that we have the capacity to accommodate the public funds that are needed for such an event. So what the investment grade, we're very confident the growth this year will be above 2% for sure, and we are looking at growth next year also. We are going to be above Europe, well above Europe. So that is an indication that Greece is doing something right. And it's not only the interest rates, the investment grade gives the confidence to the investors that this country has the stability. Of course, this government has shown a stability, has changed the environment, has become, Greece has become a friendly country for investments. And we've experienced that, we've seen that. We have had the highest growth in Europe for the last 2 years. And we are going to have the highest growth in Europe for 2023, one of the top, maybe within the first 3 countries, well above the average. And of course, our surplus as well will be above. As you know, some countries are experiencing a serious problem. What investment grade? It means more businesses decide to invest. Some organizations that they do have in their constitution that they cannot invest in a country that's not investment grade will be able to come and invest. Japan, for example, is one country. They will not invest in a country that doesn't have an investment grade. And of course, that means jobs. We are very keen to increase the average wage, and of course, as you know, the average wage in the private sector is not increased by a ministerial decision. It has to have the background and the demand and the businesses to have a growth. So more businesses will come and invest in Greece. We are seeing that now, and of course, this will create jobs, will decrease the unemployment, and in turn, this will create fiscal space in order to run more support for SMEs and generally for the business environment, and at the same time to run our cohesion programs and the programs of supporting the people that are in the lower bracket and they do need the support of the country. So everything has to be in equilibrium. At the same time, we will not jeopardize what we have done up to now. We will continue. We are very confident that Greece will still be a paradigm, a good, the best practices for Europe, and we're very confident that we will support this growth, and people will, and young people especially, will find jobs, because we want to reverse the brain drain. A lot of Greeks moved away from the country. We estimate approximately 500,000 Greeks have left during the difficult years. We need to create the environment for the people to come back. We see that happening, and we will continue in this road. We stay the path for sure.
Thank you, Minister. And grabbing the last comment of the Minister, Mr. Manousakis, how do you see that? Because driving this huge investment plan that you did mention and the plans that IPTO has for the future, it needs skilled people, and this is something that we have seen lacking in the country in the past, as exactly the Minister said. And alongside the investment upgrade that I mentioned, how do you see the immediate future for the company and for the country?
I have to say we face difficulties already. And if we take into account that we are not the only organization that has big projects in the pipeline, and right now we see a lot of upgrade in major infrastructures in Greece, I'm kind of wondering if we will be able to deliver the projects with the speed that we did in the last years. I'm happy to hear that the government has understood the situation and that they are willing to take measures. We have a lot of very important scientists and engineers abroad, and incentives need to be given and flexibilities need to be given to the companies like ours in order to be able to recruit all this scientific and engineering capacity of human resources we have abroad. I think it's an opportunity. It needs political will, And I believe that it will be found because the need is going to be great in the near future.
Thank you. And just in the occasion that we still have 30 seconds of the time, maybe one quick question from the experienced audience that we have here to our speakers, if we have one very quick question. No? Okay. Yes, Spiro?
Which is the most crucial parameter for the energy transition in Greece? Is it time? Is it money? Or is something else? Is it political will? Or is it something else that we need?
It's all of that. It's when you are going through disruption, because we are looking at the disruption, energy transition is something like a disruption. So we need the political will, of course, you need money, you need efficiency, you need speed, and of course, all of this could be accommodated if you have a government that believes in that. Because if you have a government that believes in businesses, in enterprises, if you have a government, a prime minister that believes that in order to create wealth, in order to have to create space, to provide and to support people and to support businesses, you have to modify, to change the environment, make it more friendly, speed up all the procedures, the licensing, the permitting, then everything will fit in place. So it's all of that, and I think this government has the decisive momentum to provide for the changes, and I think we're doing that, and we're going to continue to do that.
Thank you all. Again, thank you to the Minister and to Mr. Manousakis for the excellent discussion.